Chief Service Architect and Program Director, Tsuguo Nobe. Mr. Nobe, come on out. So I know a lot of people are excited to hear from you today. I mean, I think cars are something that everyone can relate to, particularly here in the United States. And Nissan is obviously one of the cutting-edge companies in terms of automobiles.
Yes.
The Leaf has got all the buzz here in California as you're starting to roll out sales here in the U.S. And Nissan's really known as this customer-driven, really innovative automaker. I thought I would start, before we get to talking about open source and MeeGo, have you just describe in general, what are the challenges that the automotive industry is having today around computing, around auto infotainment?
Okay. Of course, the customers' demand has been always changing, and also recently many devices like smartphones would be used by the general customers and in a daily life. And once the vehicle is now connected to the network, we have to prepare for that. So that we have to implement quite flexible system inside the vehicle to make connection of the vehicle to the network. Yes, maybe that is the kind of challenges and changes recently we see.
Right, right. How is the software component of a car changing today? I mean, you know, if you look just back a few years, the smartphone industry has just completely changed, right? From, you know, sort of this feature phone world to a phone where you do all sorts of computing on it.
Yes.
Are we seeing a similar change?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Basically, even the smartphone or mobile phone, those are embedded system in the past. And in the historically, the vehicle IT have been proprietary and embedded systems. But recently, the hardware and software resources have been increasing or expanded a lot, which is same with the smartphone. So then that is kind of changes, and yeah, we have to comply with that.
Right, right. Is it so? You know, like smartphones, are cars now coming with a bigger memory footprint, faster processors, more demand for, you know, consumer services in the car through the infotainment units? I mean, how big is that change for you?
Yeah, even for example, the programming code is like a kind of 5 million lines, so that it's huge. So we have to manage. If we have a kind of proprietary systems, we make it by ourselves. But if we can comply with the open source systems, we can use kind of modulated softwares and reuse or define or such kind of things. So of course, the implementation of the open source community of a software idea, the development technology would be a must to have for the even automobile industry.
Yeah, just because the amount of code that you have to create is so big, you got to start somewhere.
Of course, the functionality is also expanding.
Right.
It's not only GPS, but also that we have to have the internet connection and the multimedia players and many things. Almost the functionality is almost same as the smartphone.
Right, right. And so, you know, you've clearly chosen to use open source to address that new functionality requirement, that larger footprint of software in the car. I mean, what was that like for Nissan when you first went to your coworkers and said, hey, we've got to go with open source in the automotive industry? Were there any challenges?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Most of the people say that it's ridiculous. It's a kind of foolish thing to have the open source inside a vehicle, maybe because of the safety issue. But of course, we can keep a very good safety even if we are using open source. So that basically the mindset of the developers, even the IT developers in automobile industries, have a very fixed mindset, and it's quite analog. I mean, they're thinking about analog things. So I have to educate or propose and explain how the open source is good. Basically, digital and module standardization, those things are quite important to make a time to market type of introduction of the product. So then the biggest challenge for me is to change the mindset of the internal company.
Right, right. What would you, when you're trying to change that mindset, what would you say is the #1 advantage of using something like MeeGo for a company like Nissan? If I'm a coworker, what do you say here? We have to use open source in MeeGo because what?
Of course, yeah. The most important thing, the time to market, and basically, as I said, if we make a proprietary things, we have to do everything by ourselves, basically. But if we can comply to that open source, we can allow, or we can use the many good devices and also sources or modules from outside, and its expansion or expanded that progress or advantage. Yeah, anyway, those things is always there in outside the vehicle, and we can just use and combine those functionalities to make unique services for the future. And of course, we can make easy connection to the good services out there. And it may be that we can provide the future-proof services if we have a common platform with open source. Flexibility is also
yeah. This is what I hear from almost everyone is that that time to market advantage, the ability to have these services very quickly on top of that open source code is critical. I mean, you focus on the user experience, right, and on providing that value, and all the other stuff you work together with other people to create.
Yes, yeah, we can focus on the value-added side. Yes.
Right. And you guys clearly are participating in the MeeGo project. You're working on within this. When you looked around out there, I mean, you may have looked at proprietary solutions. You may have looked at all the different open source projects that are out there. Why did you choose MeeGo as a place to participate in open source?
We believe that the direction that MeeGo is quite right, and there are several open source projects, and but I think that MeeGo is just only the kind of project which certifies the automobile implementation, like Invehicle Infortainment. And other than that, other than MeeGo, we can have upgradability or backward compatibility or forward compatibility protected, so that we expect MeeGo will define a very good platform to keep some good compatibility forward and backward anyway. So that I believe that MeeGo will do that. So that we think that MeeGo's direction is quite accepted by many automobile companies.
Right, and clearly there's there's an automotive effort going on. It's very, very focused on the requirements for that industry and sort of borrowing technologies from other sectors in order to benefit you. So it seems like a good fit for you.